your slogan here.
No, here.
What do we want?
Yogurt. Yeah. Granola. Fruit juice. Yes.
It's time!
The arrangement is kind of thin. You think you need a little more bass?
Hey! was Explore Takoma, which is a series of walking tours that we're going to do over the course of the next 2 years, and exploring each ward one by one, the landmarks in the ward. We did Ward 4 in the fall. Today was Ward 3. And the idea is to put display signs up explaining the history of the various landmarks in the ward. And that way people can walk through the ward and learn a little bit about both the history and what exactly is in which ward, which seems to confuse people. It doesn't do any good if it stays in my head. We need to get pictures and the history and the little quirky stories out to people, and this was just one way of getting information that we have in our archives out to the public.
After several months of searching, Takoma Park has finally reached a decision on who will be serving as the next city manager.
I'm originally from Iowa. Was born and raised there, actually, and spent a little bit of time in Boston, and then I've been in the D.C. area now for the last 16 years or so. I obviously have really sort of taken Washington, D.C. and the general area as sort of my adopted home now. Just look forward to staying in this area and continuing to work here. I spent the last 4 years working in Washington, D.C. government as the chief operating officer, sort of dealing with real estate, finance, and other sort of issues for the mayor. And so very much look forward to tackling some of those same issues, but also broadening my portfolio of things that I get involved with here, and just very excited about Takoma Park in general. And just look forward to working with you. Also want to thank many of the citizen members that were on the review panel. I know some of them are here tonight. So thank you very much for the time and attention that you all took to go through the candidates. And just very anxious to get started later on in June.
I'm a member of Montgomery Blair High School's Young Democrats Club, and Council Member Tim Mayle came in to speak with us about this proposal and encouraged us to come to the 3 hearings. I'm very glad that the charter amendments passed. I think it's really important that 16 and 17-year-olds get the right to vote.
I feel really strongly that this is not an issue to take to referendum. It's council is elected. We go through a long election process to be representative of people here, to weigh all the views, and this is a question that is set up in our charter for council to make decisions on. It's great to have a 6-1 vote, so much support from the community to move forward with 16 and 17-year-old voting.
I hope that a lot more young people will participate in our democracy in our municipality. I look forward to their participation, and with increased interest on their part, I look forward to increased voter participation from their parents and friends as well.
I'm really happy that it happened. I think it was really necessary as a step to be taken. Takoma Park is just, I've been here all my life, and I think it's really important that people who not only have been here all their life but are affected by the laws that are put in place are able to vote for them. And I think that is for those who are 16 and 17, because we are affected greatly by things that are passed in things like this and things that people are voting for. So being able to vote is important.
those young people, teenagers, who want to register will register. And what's really beautiful about it is they can register the day of the election. If there's any repercussion, all of us folks who run for these offices are going to have to learn how to tweet and how to Facebook and really get involved in our social media. And that is not a bad thing. That's where life is going here.
I think that's too important to be left to the votes of 7 council members. And it should be something that would be addressed by the entire electorate. And if it passes then, and if it's approved, then I think we can then have a much stronger foundation to say that this is something that the city of Takoma Park truly believes in, not just 7 people who happen to be holding office at the present time.
Turnout votes for city elections are dismal. They're really, really low. And I think youth can hardly be less interested. In fact, I think a lot of us will be more interested because it's so much more important when you're young and you're forming all these opinions and you want to get your point of view out there.
I'm real happy with the results of tonight's vote and look forward to the next piece where we'll also implement a task force and look at a bunch of other implementation steps and right to vote steps.
Here in Annapolis, the discussion continues concerning a tax reform where local government is fighting to remain untouched by revenue changes proposed by telecommunication companies.
The first proposal would take away all the taxes and fees on these services and put a 6% sales tax equivalent rate.
It was a continuation of a discussion that has developed between the telecommunications industry and the local government. We don't feel that there's been enough information provided on revenue and expenses to make a decision yet on which way to go with the tax question in Maryland.
This has really been the first time that people have been able to discuss what the impact of the various tax structures would be and what impact changes would occur. I think what's clear about it is that roughly half of the taxes that are being collected and fees are at the local level. At the local level, half of what the localities are collecting are telecommunications taxes, and those are levied primarily by 5 counties within the state, Montgomery County being one of them, and they're the 5 most populous counties. So it becomes a more difficult issue given the number of services, the impact of the recession, the impact on property taxes, the reduction in state and local funding. What's been a challenge for the counties to figure out is, well, how can you reform taxes and at the same time not create negative revenue problems that will ultimately result in having services being reduced? It is, I think, worth noting that within Montgomery County at one point when we had taxed cell phones, people didn't like it, and so at the local level people were able to ask to have that removed, and we did. When we had the recession and we needed to look at it as a way to generate more revenue, and people looked at, well, what's the impact of not having that revenue? People said, fine, we can do it. But there are things within state law that exacerbate the way that the impact comes out for consumers. So that discussion, I think, was sort of beyond what the staff was capable of doing today. So what I'm hoping in this meeting is that we can talk about, at least at the state level, having a simpler, fairer tax system in which you have a broader base of services subject to tax and an overall lower rate for state taxes. And I think that that's what you saw in the commission today, that potentially that is a way forward. Right now, under the proposals, or either proposal, local governments would lose between $136 and $141 million. The suggestion in the first proposal was essentially that you kept those local fees, but then you would have such a big hole in another place from the loss of the telecom revenues that it would come under some level of scrutiny. In the other one, I mean, really what we're not looking at all is any kind of tax structure where you have a specialized fee which is designed to help support community media, broadband training, and community networks. So I think that's really been beyond, it has not been an issue that the commission has really been able to take up. And unfortunately, I think what a lot of the concern, because it's a tax commission, has been looking at the revenue without really looking at the return on investment. So there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion about the value of local community programming. There hasn't been a lot of discussion about the value that having people come in and being able to learn new media, particularly our youth and our elderly seniors, that really hasn't been part of the discussion. And that's an unfortunate part, when you're only talking about the taxes, you're only talking about revenue coming in, you're not really talking about the value of the services that you're performing with those revenues.
I'd like to see local governments remain untouched by revenue changes. We get franchise fees and PEG fees from the cable companies, and it's a reimbursement for use of the public right-of-way, which we manage. When the cable companies and the other telecommunications companies that run fiber optic cable come into your town and my town, they put it in the fiber in what's called the right-of-way, and that belongs to the local governments, and the local governments have to issue the permits, they have to review all the plans for it, they have to make sure they're not going in to hit a gas line, another line. The cable companies and the other companies, it's like a free land for them if they don't pay for it. I mean, it's like if you put up an office building where you're going to put your offices and you don't have to pay for the building or the office space or anything like that. They're using taxpayers' land. They're paying us now for it. We want that to continue.
The closer that you bring the decisions about whether to tax or whether to charge fees, when you have them at the local level, then local citizens have more input into whether we should do that, whether we shouldn't do that, and what we use it for. So I think the real message is that having taxation remain at the local level is the best thing for local residents because it gives them the strongest voice in their tax bills.
It's a lot of fun for us, to come out and do this, and it's great to see, so many people riding to work, and we had quite a few people today who mentioned they were first-time bike commuters. I think it's great. Bike commuting has grown so much in just the last few years, and we see it all the time. And people who we talk to mention it. That they're seeing so many more people riding bikes, and people mention, a few years ago I was riding to work, and I was the only one, and now there's just crowds of people at every stoplight. And so that's really encouraging.
I'm happy to participate in the event by biking to work, collecting my t-shirt, encouraging my neighbors to participate in the event as well. I think biking to work is a great thing to do. For one, it's healthier for the people who bicycle. Number two, it of course has great environmental effects by reducing emissions that motor vehicles cause. Of course, taking transit is a great thing as well as is walking. And it reduces road congestion for those people who do drive and take transit for that matter. I think it's wonderful the number of community members I do know who do bike to work on a pretty much a daily basis.
It's great. It's great that the city's out here with stations like this, and it's great that so many people are riding to work. I probably saw 10 people in just the 3 blocks that I've ridden already on bikes. It makes people realize that they can bike to work or bike to the store or bike to the school any day. You see people out there and you realize, hey, this isn't so hard. There's less traffic, there's less less air pollution. Frankly, it's also just about enjoying the world around you, and it's amazing how much more you notice when you're on a bike as opposed to in a car. I have biked to work probably for 10 years in the spring and fall when it's most comfortable to bike. I take the metro most days and typically bike from my home to the metro station.
We need to just keep the presence of bicycling front and center in our public mind. And bicycling is a good, healthy, non-polluting way to get to work or to do other types of travel trips in daily life.
I've been biking into work for probably about 4 years. I work downtown at Federal Triangle. I always love Bike to Work Day. We make a point to get out and to try to bring the family when we can. It's a great opportunity to get out, meet up with lots of other cyclists, and just enjoy having a lot more people on the road. It's good because it gets a lot of new people out and thinking about biking to work. So I use it as a chance every year to talk to my friends and say, hey, this is something I do and it's a lot of fun. You should come out and join us.
Oh, I've been doing it, I think, ever since they started it, for the environment, for exercise, to avoid destroying the roads, destroying the environment, improving your health. It's like the best part of my day, biking to work. I try to bike every day to work.
Try it. Just come out and try it. Try biking to the store, try biking to work. Start with small distances and see if it isn't a nice addition to your day.
Get on a bike.
Today was my Eagle Scout project. The Scouts for Troop 33 and me, we glued signs on drains all around Takoma Park that say, don't dump, this drain leads to Sligo Creek, to protect the creeks. So we did about 300 drains. The rain kind of got in the way, but most groups finished. I sent groups off into different directions, one group to one section of Takoma Park, one group to another, and they did their own drains that were assigned to them. Troop 33, my Boy Scout troop, and the city, Takoma Park Public Works Department, they provided all the signs and the glue and the supplies that I needed. Without them, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. And also, they gave us the idea. They were already going to do this project. They basically told my scoutmaster that they were going to do this and that we can do this if we wanted. And he told me that he wanted me to do this for my Eagle Scout project. So that worked out nicely. There were 21 scouts involved, actually about 19 scouts, and then a couple other kids that weren't scouts that just wanted to help out, and then 5 adults. It's a good thing to do because it keeps Sligo Creek clean, because when people are going to dump something in the drain and they see that sign, it'll make them not want to dump.
And imagine looking out on the distance for sailboats on the big lake or the ocean, and smile and feel the pleasure that comes from the here and the now. And take your breath and follow it and listen to your inhale and exhale. Do not hold your breath. Try to get resilience. We're going to need resilience in our planet for climate change.
Where we go,
¿cómo estás, mi amigo? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? How are you, my friend? Friends, friends.
1, 2, 3. All my friends are here with me.
You, my friend.
You're my friend.
Twalebira gye banzaala ligenda n'abalere ab'ekalungu ligenda n'abalere ab'ekalungu twalebira gye banzaala.
If you don't remember where you're coming from, but you're gonna go where you wanna go. If you don't remember where you're coming from, tell me how you're gonna go, where you're gonna go. In your upper struggles,
This is Bike to School Day, hoping to have fun. It's Potty Branch Elementary, and that's good.
Bike to School is a wonderful idea. It teaches kids to promotes exercise and well-being. They do it with their friends, which is fun, and it saves energy for everybody.
I'm trying to get my kids to consider other ways to get to school, and it's a great way to get some exercise while doing it at the same time. It's instead of burning fuel, you're burning your muscles, so that's great for them to learn.
I think Bike to School Day is great. We just moved to Takoma Park not too long ago, and I'm happy to see that the city's so involved in making people aware and making accessible alternate modes of transportation.
Today the event was wonderful. We wish kids would ride their bikes more often to school. For next year we plan on getting more bike racks and more scooter racks to promote riding your bike to school. Our third grade kids this year were bike ambassadors, so they went over to the Takoma Park Metro and they encouraged people to ride their bike to work and school. So today was really successful for us. The benefits for the kids really is just promoting exercise and healthy habits for them. In addition, when they ride to school together, they also hang out with each other and have relationships and friendships. So they have good conversations on their way to school, and they come to school happy and ready to start the day. So it's good for us.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Kids should always wear their helmet, and they should always wear bright clothing and not to wear loose-fitting clothing so that their clothes don't get tangled up in the chain, spokes, etc. They should always bike in groups and be very careful with traffic.
The basic necessity is your helmet. That's the main thing, is to have your helmet. You should wear it always. There's actually a Maryland law that requires children under the age of 16 to wear a helmet, and also for adults who use the roadway. It is considered a vehicle. You have to abide by all the rules that apply to a motor vehicle when you operate your bicycle. Traffic laws apply to bicycles as well as vehicles. So when you're on the roadway in the state of Maryland, you must abide by all the rules that apply to vehicles. You mean stopping at stop signs, stopping at red lights, yielding to pedestrians and crosswalks.
They will protect you better if you keep these right like this.
I think it's a good opportunity for people to ride their bikes and for a good chance for them to get exercise.
It's really fun. It gets us more active, and
it's better for us being outside in the sun, not just car riding to school, getting active.
I like it because you get to ride your bikes to school and it's not an everyday thing, and you get to get some exercise before you go into class and sit for a while.
I like biking to school because the bus smells bad. I feel like it feels great riding because you can feel like the breeze coming to you and you feel great riding, and it's like joyfully.
I go to Einstein, the Visual Arts Center at Einstein, part-time. And this is my senior thesis, and we just had to create a project that was sort of experimental. And I just thought of this idea of like interactive street art. The idea is that it's a child playing with chalk, and I'm gonna leave chalk here, and people can draw. I'm gonna like leave a doodle from like he drew it on the ground, and then I'll leave the chalk here so that if people want, the chalk will like wash away and they can draw their own like ideas. And also this is chalkboard paint, so people can also draw on there and just like, and I'm gonna come back and document to see if other people interacted with it and like what they did and stuff like that. Well, I just took this photo, but I just love the way that children play, and it's supposed to be like the imagination, you know? So I'm thinking that the small child will allow like infinite possibilities, you know, because as you grow up, your imagination sort of gets smaller, or like, you know, less vast and less interesting. So the child is just supposed to be like innocence and open imagination. Well, depending on how this goes, I like the idea of interactive street art and I might do more of it, but this is like my first piece, and I mostly do, I act also. And so I recently did a series on theater, and I've been sort of starting to blur the lines between fine arts and like theater and like interaction and stuff like that. Hi.
Hello.
I saw you guys yesterday.
Yeah, they do. We decided to come and see how it's evolving.
What do you think?
Very nice. I love it. I really love it. Wow. Livia, what do you think?
You like it?
See? We were just talking about it. I said, well, we'll see what's going on here. Yeah. I wish we could. This time.
That's what they're doing. They're watching me.
See, she's talking.
Oh, a cloud? Another cloud?
There's space for more.
He's just my cousin, my baby cousin. He lives like a few blocks from me. I play with him a lot, so and I just, when I came up with the project, I actually just kind of envisioned him doing it. I don't know why, but I guess because I'm close with him and I think about his imagination, I guess. But this particular photo, I thought he just looked really interested in the drawing, and I thought it would compel people to maybe interact with it or draw and like what he's focusing on so intensely. Woohoo! This is like your shirt. Well, this is acrylic. Follow this. And this is chalkboard paint. And I just painted directly on the wall. So there wasn't much technically, but it took more time to get permission to do it than it did to actually do the piece. It took like 2 or 3 days, and I just finished this in 2 days. But also the surface is a little bit rougher than I expected, so it's harder to get the details. But I just brought some small brushes and then kind of used circular motions to get into the ridges.